Hello everyone, Tallpaul here, and today I want to talk to you about Daggerheart, specifically the adversaries available in the core rulebook that was recently released by Darrington Press. These adversaries are cool from tier 1 to tier 4, getting really thematic abilities and really fun things to bring to the table against your players. So without further ado, let's look at some of my favorites. So the first group of adversaries that I'm really excited about are the tier 1 Undead. I love Undead as an adversary in any TTRPG, and what they've done with the Undead here in Daggerheart is fantastic. There are a lot of really great abilities that really scream, I'm an Undead, and these are the things that I can do. Some of these abilities are very simple, like with our Shambling Zombie. Horrifying, passive. Target who marks HP from the zombie's attacks must also mark a stress. So every time that they're taking damage from this standard tier 1 zombie, they're also marking stress. Now, the Patchwork Zombie Hulk is actually one I've used at the table, and I had a great time doing it. My players had a really good time fighting this adversary, and I thought it was really fun in the encounter that I had built. Now, if you look at its motives and tactics, you see kind of how you want to be using this monster. So motives and tactics: absorb corpses, flail, hunger, terrify. Now right off the bat, absorb corpses, another for the pile. Action: when the zombie is within very close range of a corpse, it can incorporate it into themselves, clearing an HP and a stress. Another cool ability is this Tormented Screams ability. You mark a stress to cause all PCs within far range to make a presence reaction roll. Targets who fail lose a hope, and you gain a fear for each. So your players are losing the resources to cast their abilities, and you are gaining the fear you need to make GM moves with these different monsters. Very cool. And for tier 1 monsters, which are meant to be used in the first tier of play, which is only level 1 in Daggerheart, these are very cool compared to, the zombies or skeletons that you would commonly see in like D&D, where they're a small amount of hit points, they do some basic abilities, but nothing this cool. Now, moving on from the tier 1 Undead, you're going to have tier 2 Undead. This is the second group that I'm very excited for. Rather than going up into kind of the incorporeal Undead, where you're dealing with shadows and ghosts and poltergeists and things like that you would find in like Dungeons and Dragons, we have something cool like the Mortal Hunter, an undead figure wearing a heavy leather coat with searching eyes and a casually cruel demeanor. This moves and tactics are devour, hunt, and track. Right off the bat, this sounds like a very fun undead creature. It is not just a mindless undead. It is someone who has a purpose. It is here to hunt mortals, and it has some cool abilities to do that hunting with. The first one I want to highlight is this countdown ability, Rampage Reaction. It's a countdown loop on 1d6. When the hunter is in the spotlight for the first time, activate the countdown. When it triggers, move the hunter in a straight line to a point within far range and make an attack against all targets in their path. Targets that the hunter succeeds against take 2d8 plus 2 physical damage. Now, if you take this ability and bring in their passive, when the hunter makes a successful attack, all PCs within far range lose a hope and you gain a fear. If you hit a few of them, all of a sudden your players could lose 2 or 3 hope, and you gain that fear, which you're then able to use to Deathlock. Spend a fear to curse a target within very close range with a necrotic Deathlock. Until the end of the scene, attacks made by the hunter against the Deathlock target deal direct damage. The hunter can only maintain 1 Deathlock at a time. What direct damage does is it doesn't allow the players to use armor slots to reduce the severity of the damage. Now, with Mortal Hunter, you're going to want to have some other adversaries on the field so they're able to use their inevitable death ability. This ability you see on a lot of different leaders and solos, where it'll allow you to spotlight additional allies, sometimes spending a fear for them to deal their full damage, but oftentimes, especially at the lower tiers, they're only going to deal half damage. So one of the other cool tier 2 kind of undead creatures that I wanted to highlight here is the Chaos Skull. This is a tier 2 ranged, a floating humanoid skull animated by scintillating magic. And the Chaos Skull is very cool. It's going to do a little bit of AoE magic damage, and it's also going to attack stress slots in addition to HP slots with their Siphon Magic ability. All right, moving on to our next group of adversaries, and that is going to be Skulks. Now, In the Daggerheart core rulebooks, Skulks come in different types. They have different abilities based on their lore. They can be ambushers who lurk in the shadows, skirmishers specializing in hit and run tactics, or elusive adversaries who confuse the party through mundane or magical means. Now, the thing that draws me to Skulks are their kind of play in an encounter. Pick off Straggler here with the Cult Fang, very cool. Mark a stress to cause a target within melee range to make an instinct reaction roll. On a failure, the target must mark 2 stress and is teleported with the Fang to a shadow within far range, making them temporarily vulnerable. On a success, the target must mark a stress. I think this has so many cool possibilities in encounters to really make combat dynamic by teleporting a player up onto a cliff edge and threatening to throw them off, or teleporting them to the back of a moving wagon and all of a sudden they're getting away. The Stone Wraith also has some cool abilities that is going to kind of make your combat dynamic. Avalanche Roar. You spend fear to roar while within a cave and cause a cave-in. All targets within close range must succeed on an agility reaction roll or take 2d10 physical damage. The rubble can be cleared with a progress countdown of 8. So all of a sudden you're fighting the Stone Wraith and this avalanche happens. How many party members are on the side with the Stone Wraith? How many are on the side that doesn't have the Stone Wraith? This plays right into the moves and tactics listed on the Stone Wraith's stat block. Isolate prey. They're going to cause this cave-in, they're going to isolate them on one side, and they're just ramping up fear because they have that momentum ability. When the Stone Wraith makes a successful attack against the PC, you're gaining a fear. Very cool, very thematic. All right, moving on to our next group of adversaries, we are going to have the Tier 3 demons. There are, I believe, 5 or 6 demons in the core rulebook, and these are cool demons. All of them have cool abilities that play into what they're a demon of. Demon of Wrath, Demon of Hubris, and Demon of Jealousy are the ones that are going to be highlighted today, but there are 2 other ones that you're going to have to see in the core rulebook, and I'm not going to spoil them here. Starting off with the Demon of Wrath, you're going to immediately see that the Demon of Wrath's features link in with Wrath, with fear. 1, the demon's attacks deal direct damage. No armor slots getting spent here. Next up, we have Battle Lust. Spend a fear to boil the blood of all PCs within far range. They use a d20 as their fear die until the end of the scene. So you are rolling a d12 hope and a d20 fear die for the rest of this scene. Now, when your players make violent actions, that's when the Demon of Wrath is going to kind of kick off. He is going to become wrathful. First up, Blood and Souls. Its reaction countdown loops 6. Activate the first time an attack is made within sight of the demon. It ticks down when a PC takes a violent action. When it triggers, summon 1d4 minor demons who appear at close range. In addition to that, when the demon takes damage from an attack within close range, you can mark a stress to make a standard attack against the attacker with their retaliation reaction. All of this just exudes Demon of Wrath, and I love it. Next up, we have the other 2 demons that I chose to highlight here, the Demon of Hubris and the Demon of Jealousy. Again, experiences here are going to be manipulation on both of them. Now, the Demon of Hubris, with the terrifying passive, when the demon makes a successful attack, all PCs within far range must lose a hope, and you gain a fear. That is going to turn the tables between hope and fear very quickly. Now, this Demon of Hubris also allows you to spotlight 2 other demons within far range. In addition to that, when a PC fails a roll within close range of the demon, they must mark a stress. So not are they losing hope and you're gaining fear, when you fail a roll within close range of the demon, you got to mark a stress. So you better deal with it pretty quick, because the things that these demons can do can add up pretty quickly and make possibly a troublesome situation into a very deadly one. Now, with the Demon of Jealousy, with its motives and tactics, join in on other successes, take what belongs to others, and hold grudges is such a cool set of moves and tactics, and it is really personified in the features available for the Demon of Jealousy. Now, the coolest one is this last ability, What's Yours is Mine. As a reaction, when a PC takes severe damage within very close range of the demon, you can spend a fear to cause the target to make a finesse reaction roll. On a failure, the demon seizes one item or consumable of their choice, from the target's inventory. So I'm not just targeting your stress or your HP, I am targeting your items available in your inventory. In addition to this, you also have My Turn, which is another reaction. When the demon marks HP from an attack, spend a number of fear equal to the HP marked by the demon to cause the attacker to mark the same number of HP. So that's great. You got a severe attack on my demon and I'm marking 3 HP. Guess what? You're doing it too. Overall, all the demons, very thematic, very cool, and I'm very excited to get all of them at the table. Next up, vampires. So in tier 3, we also have the head vampire. This is going to be a tier 3 leader. Moves and tactics are going to be create thralls, charm, command, fly, and intimidate. Now, right off the bat, the hunt is on. The hunt is on is going to allow you to spend 2 fear to summon 1d4 vampires who appear at far range and immediately take the spotlight. And right over here is your standard vampire stat block. Heading back to the head vampire, you also have Life Suck, which is a reaction. When the vampire is spotlighted, you get to roll a d8 on a 6 or higher. All targets within close range must mark an HP. Very cool, nice little AoE. The one ability that really stood out to me on the head vampire is Look Into My Eyes, passive. A creature who moves into melee range of the vampire must make an instinct reaction roll. On a failure, you gain 1d4 fear. This plays right into their moves and tactics of intimidating the creatures that they're coming into contact with and building up this pool of fear in them, which can be 1, but it can also be 4 fear, which is a significant amount of fear. That is a third of the fear that you can have in total as a game master in Daggerheart. All right, let's move on to the last group of adversaries, and that is going to be the Fallen Gods. The Fallen Gods are available in the Daggerheart core rulebook as adversaries that you can pit against your players. The one that I've chosen to highlight here of the ones that are in the player's handbook is the Fallen Warlord Undefeated Champion. Now, Relentless is an ability you see on a lot of adversaries in Daggerheart. This allows you to spotlight this adversary more than once per GM turn, rather than waiting for another trigger that would allow you to highlight them. In addition to having Relentless, you also have Faltering Armor. When the Undefeated Champion takes damage, reduce it by 1d10. Now, at the tier 4 of play, I have not played at this level, but I don't know if 1d10 is going to have that large of a distance when it comes to thresholds like 35 and 58, and some of the damage that I've seen players able to do at tier 1 and tier 2 of play. Now, Endless Legions is the ability that is going to allow you to summon Fallen Shock Troops, which are highlighted right here, and you're going to be able to summon twice the number of PCs you have. So if you have 5 PCs at the table, you are going to get 10 Fallen Shock Troops on the table. Now, these are minions, they follow the minion rules, so they do go away quite quickly, but if they do get into melee range, they can definitely do a wallop of damage using their group attack. When you spend a fear to choose a target and spotlight them, all Fallen Shock Troops within close range of them, those minions move into melee range of the target and make 1 shared attack roll. On a success, they deal 12 physical damage each, combining that damage. And this is all so that they can crush, dominate, earn relief, and punish. We also see some similar abilities to the ones we saw in the demons, where when a target marks an HP from an attack by the Undefeated Champion, all PCs within far range of that target lose a hope. In addition, we're also going to have momentum. When the Undefeated Champion makes a successful attack against the PC, you gain a fear. So the players are losing hope and you are gaining fear. Now, Circle of Defilement, which is a reaction countdown 1d8. When the Undefeated Champion is in the spotlight for the first time, activate that countdown. When it triggers, activate a magical circle covering an area within far range of the champion. A target within that area is vulnerable until they leave the circle. The circle can be removed by dealing severe damage to the Undefeated Champion. Now, the Fallen Warlord can cast this on a group of players. The Fallen Shock Troops can come in and then have advantage on all of their rolls against these players. I think the Fallen Gods are an excellent adversary that differs greatly from a lot of the other high-level adversaries that we see in other TTRPGs. You see a lot of cool summoning abilities, which I think are fantastic. Being able to summon, double the amount of players you have, little minions to come out and just endless wave your players. I think is very cool. And a lot of these abilities really play into the duality present in Daggerheart, playing on your hope and on your fear. And there you have it. Those are the adversaries that I'm most excited to bring to the table in Daggerheart, from tier 1 undead all the way up to tier 4 forgotten gods and all the tier 3 demons in between. I think some of these abilities are super cool, and I'm excited to see how my players react to them coming up at the table. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Be sure to like and subscribe for more great Daggerheart content, and we'll see you next time.